Do we have anybody on Zoom right now, Krista?
Yep, it shows Betty is on.
Betty is on. Okay, I will make a note of that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right, I'm going to call this meeting the Dunn County Aging and Disability Resource Center and the Advisory Committee, Nutrition Advisory Committee to order. First we'll call the roll. And then if everyone could go around, just state your name.
And just so everyone knows, these are the members of the Nutrition Advisory Committee. Many of you. So the members are Larry, who is absent today, Maria, myself, Suzanne Gaines, who is absent, Sherry Homestead, Carol Kadinger, Gary Steen, and Betty Zimi, who is here by Zoom. So, but I'm Tracy Fisher. I'm the ADRC manager for Dunn County.
All right, and then we'll have the report of the nutrition.
And my name is Bernie Allen, and I'm the nutrition program coordinator. So I will go through the nutrition update. So I'm basically just going to go through those bullet points that were sent out, or those different updates. So the first one is regarding our GWAR, which stands for Greater Wisconsin Agency on Aging Resources. So GWAR for short. Every 3 years, they do an assessment of the nutrition programs in the state of Wisconsin, and we had ours just recently. So that involved an on-site visit and then a number of other steps in order to just provide information about what the program is doing, a lot of documentation with our contracts, and some of the other responsibilities that I have on a regular daily basis. So just kind of ensuring that we're following the guidelines and getting the things done we need to get done. So that went well. Our representative came for the day, and we went out and visited a couple of meal sites. You got to see what's going on here, and we got to spend some time together going through all the different documentation and things like that. So the second item there kind of came out of that review. And I hadn't we hadn't done this before, and I guess I wasn't even aware that it was part of the process. I think it was added recently, but what they would like us to do is have our Nutrition Advisory Council members at least annually, if possible, kind of check out one of our meal sites. So I kind of listed as, and she kind of explained it as maybe like a secret shopper, just kind of showing up at the site, having a meal. And then I do have like a form. It's a little intimidating because it's 2 pages long, but it's really fairly quick. And it's basically a form to document, your experience with the dining center. So what I'm hoping to do is leave some of these here today. And then I can also have Denise email them out, because I know we don't have everyone in attendance, but I can have Denise email them out. And if you feel like at some point you would be willing to do that, I left on here the address and the phone number for a Colfax meal site. They're really the site that has the most kind of robust group of people meeting for congregate or senior dining. We do have the Tantera Apartments complex in town here, but most of the operation there is all home delivered meals. There's a few people that have been dining, and we do have some parties occasionally, but anyhow, the Colfax is open Monday through Thursday, and they always have a group there. So I can leave some of these here, and you can take a look at them. And if there's a day or time you want to try to just go up and check it out, that'd be great. And then I can get these from you one way or another. It's not urgent, but within the next maybe 6 to 12 months, if we could even have one visit, that would be something we could check off the list. So, yes.
Mentioned that they should give a little bit of warning, the day before.
Oh, right.
They could get them.
Yeah, thanks, Gary. So, and I think it does say on here, but yeah, so the reservation process is just calling ahead at least 24 hours to give them. Yeah, thanks for pointing it out. So that way the site manager will have Because all the planning goes into making sure there's enough food that's delivered each day to serve the people that are planning to dine there.
I have a question. Are you saying that is just Colfax that we're to visit?
I think that would be the best option. I mean, like Shar, I know was actually at Tantera typically every Wednesday. So I mean, we could have Shar fill one of these out as a volunteer, but she doesn't normally, there's right now, there's 1 or 2 gals that eat at Tantera in the dining room. There really, even prior to COVID, there hadn't been a big group, and we still have, like I said, special events, and every holiday we have a different meal, and that does bring people in. But Colfax, Monday through Thursday, they always have a group there. So it's more of a group dining experience. Yeah, I know it's a little bit of a drive from.
If I might, Bernie, I don't think there's any reason that, if somebody wanted to go to Ridgeland.
Oh.
But, that would be another one that you could go to. I mean, I think actually the committee could go to any of them.
It's true, yeah.
That they wanted to, so.
Yeah.
I think Bernie would just say it's more busy over there, but if you give them enough warning, they'll have a meal for you. And of course, I live in Florida. I'm familiar with that, but I've always been going to go to Ridgeland. I ain't went there yet, so I gotta get on.
Yeah. Yeah, good point. Another good point, Gary. So the form that Guar gave me as to use is kind of geared more towards a traditional site. However, we do have Sand Creek Cafe and Dairyland Cafe in Ridgeland. And those restaurants, you don't have to call ahead of time. So that one's a little bit different. They have a senior meal that's available each day, Monday through Friday. And then you just let them know, and then they will have you fill out like a brief paperwork form to be able to participate. Actually, at both sites, that'd be the case, but it's not a big time investment or anything like that. So there is other options besides Colfax too.
Are those the only sites you have then? Is the Sand Creek, Ridgeland and Colfax?
Well, right now we have Tantera, which
Yeah.
is but like I said, that's every day they're mainly working to get all the different routes out there in Menominee. We have Hosford Ridge Apartments in in Menominee as well. But that one is mainly just the residents that are there, and most of them are carrying it out to their apartments because since COVID, they have just kept up the option of carry outs, and a lot of people like that. So, and then, like I said, the Tantera Apartments, Colfax, Sand Creek Cafe, and Dairyland Cafe in Ridgeland. And then our O'Galley site was open, but the town sold the Civic Center. And at some point, I think this spring, they're going to actually be rebuilding, and we're hoping to get that back going again. But yeah, those are our sites. Yes.
What kind of feedback are you looking for? On the food, on the gathering of the people? And there's no way you can do it as a secret shopper because.
I know. That's a good point. Right. I mean, well, but they might not know who you are. I mean, the site manager might not know you're someone from our committee is basically. Well, not necessarily. You could just say, I mean, anybody who's 60 years of age or older can make an appointment and come and have a meal. You wouldn't have to tell them you're part of anything. I mean, you could if you wanted to. It's kind of it's basically saying, we meet on a regular basis here, and this gives you an opportunity to see what's going on in the meal sites to get a better idea. And it gives you can provide feedback to me and to us to see if there's things. So there is a variety of questions like, when you made the reservation, how was the person on the phone? Was it easy to find the meal site? This is has quite a few questions on it. Then it does talk about, the meal. Do you like the taste of the meal, the texture, the temperature, that type of thing. So yeah, there's lots of different opportunities for feedback. And then of course, some of it might be just, there's an option to check NA not applicable. So some things might not be applicable to that particular visit, but yeah, so they're trying not to make it too complicated. They just want to make sure there's happening once in a while where somebody will come from this committee and just checking things, see how things are going. That's kind of the main idea. And And they may know you or they may not, but I don't think they, if they don't, that's fine too, because they would, just treat you like any other participant in the program.
If I may, Sure. I think perhaps, part of the reason they're doing it is to, raise our awareness, I guess, as a committee on what's really going on, and I think, the comments could be critical or they could be, positive, either way. And so,
Right.
and then that goes up the line to Bernie here, and then also I think it raises the fact that anybody in the community, well, what do you know about it? Well, I've been there, I know, and so it enhances our credibility. I think, the way I would look at it. That makes sense.
I agree. That makes sense to me.
I like roast beef.
Yeah.
Well, we're having roast beef.
Yeah, we do have roast beef. Actually, yeah, we have roast beef on this Wednesday coming up, yeah. So like I said, I can leave some of these forms. I did leave the phone number and the address for Colfax, but I also will I can have Denise just email it out to our list of participants. That way you'll have it that way. So, okay, the next update, number 3. Prior to the pandemic and actually prior to my employment here with the county, the Hmong Friendship Group or the Hmong Friendship Center was meeting monthly in this building, and they work together with the nutrition program to supply the meal. And that program just kind of stopped during COVID, and it's been a very slow progress to getting it kind of back going. And they are meeting again, and we are very close to securing everything as far as the meals, and we are working again with Hang's Restaurant in Menominee because they can meet the needs of the participants, which is kind of a the meal that they prefer to have. And the owner of the restaurant is pretty willing to make sure that we have the meal has the components that we need to make it fit into our program. So that is kind of in the process of getting started again. So, which is good because a lot of those individuals that are participating in the Hmong Friendship Group or Hmong Friendship Center don't have a lot going on in their daily lives. Excuse me. So it gives them an opportunity to get out of the house. They're actually here today, as a matter of fact, and they meet from 8 a.m. until about 2 p.m. So they're there or maybe 2:30. And then they have some educational programs. They have a meal together and they do some activities. And as a matter of fact, Carrie McKnight, who I coordinated with to have her come over and do a presentation on diabetes and also she talked a little bit about high blood pressure to the group today. So they try to, Carrie McKnight is a dietitian at the Neighbors, and she works with us with our program as far as doing some nutrition counseling as needed and reviews our menus to ensure that they meet the guidelines for the program. So, yeah.
I hate to say too much, but I've been around a long time. When we were doing this before with among people, we were trying to, it's a different culture, so it's not Scandinavian, they have their own likes and dislikes on food, but part of it was outreach among community to make them feel part of the community and make them, just, trying to make some headway with that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm glad that we're doing that again, and trying to outreach, make them feel comfortable, make them part of the community, so to speak. So that was the original intent, I think, and then we did make some inroads, but then COVID, and then there you go, we're all done. But I think it's well worthwhile to reach out and give them a sense of belonging to the community or being included in, senior meals or whatever. So I think it's well worth it.
About how many people attend?
I think it's been anywhere from 15. Their total roster is, I think 27 or 30 or somewhere in there, but most of the time it's maybe half of that
Yeah.
total. But yeah, it's a pretty good group. I've actually presented twice because they were looking for people to, and when they first started, they were last in 2022, they had some outdoor meetings, so we met and I talked about food safety, and then they wanted me to come back. I don't know why exactly, but yeah, no, and it works well because Franz Lohr, who's kind of the leader of that group and is doing a great job of trying to keep it going. He then does the translating and some of the individuals speak some English and so, but they're always a real, I mean, I've enjoyed going and talking to the group and it's just kind of, they're pretty, just, you can tell they're having fun and they're fun loving and yeah, it's a good experience, but yeah. So I don't know how many are there today. I think there was less than 15, but yeah, they're actually right upstairs as we speak. So yeah. Okay, any other? And then number 4, speaking of Ridgeland, we had our longtime site manager, Becky Steffi. She retired in March. And fortunately, we were able to hire a replacement. The gentleman's name is Jerry Miller. And he had actually been a volunteer a couple of years ago, kind of right before COVID. And then he had a heart procedure and said, well, I have to step back and I won't be able to deliver meals. But he has since, doing better. And then somehow talked to Becky about the position opening up. And so he is now working there. He trained with Becky before she retired. And the nice thing is he has a little bit more freedom because he's just working for the county and not the restaurant at all. So he's just a county employee. And now he's delivering some meals in the Ridgeland area, which we kind of was a deficit. We didn't have that opportunity. Not that there's a lot, but he's delivering to 2 households right now. And then possibly another, at least for short term needs. But yeah, and that's really been helpful because of the 2 households that he's delivering to are definitely in need. So.
And that is a restaurant site, right?
Yes, it
They
is.
just order off a menu. So how does that work exactly? And what exactly does he do as a manager there? He's not part of the restaurant.
Good question. So every day so the way it's set up is first, if someone's a new participant, then they fill out a registration form. So if there's someone new to the program, he's gonna, there's signage, of course, but and he's gonna make sure they're getting that form completed. And then each day people sign in. And so there's documentation that goes along with those meals. He also, there's also a suggested contribution or donation amount of $5 per meal. And there's like a wooden locked box right in the restaurant. So the participants can just make their donation. And what he'll typically do is at the end of the meal time, either that day or the next day, typically does it most days, he'll take out the contributions, and then you have paperwork. So she has to be with someone else, just like any other accounting form. They go through, sign it, fill it out, and then he takes the donations to the bank actually. So, and there's a couple other, and then there's another form he fills out daily that lists the menu that was served and the different categories it fits in. So making sure we're getting, because the way the regulations, we have to serve like at least a green vegetable every 3 times a week. So it's just, there's a lot of documentation basically. Yeah. And then as far as the delivery, of course, it's just like the home delivered meals we do here in Menominee. And it's about the people he delivers to about 10 miles out of town. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit of,
for those people in Ridgeland, they appreciate.
Yeah.
Deliberate meals.
Fortunately, there's a lot of people that can come in, and even in town, there's some people's relatives that will just grab things for them because it's such a small town. But yeah, the ones that are rural, it's hard to get to, but luckily it's been working out with having Jerry on board. Yeah. And then the last point is just, we're still we haven't really added many new additional volunteer drivers lately. So we've done some advertising, some marketing, but, and I've talked to some people on the phone, but it really hasn't panned out to be anything. So if you know anybody who's looking to get out of the house, who's retired, and even if it's once in a while, we are looking for some people to help out. And usually that's about 10:30, 10:45 AM until about 12 or 12:15. And the schedule is really flexible with with when you can, let's say you only want to do 1 day a week, or you have it limited, we'll still bring you on board, and the process is pretty simple. It's just a form and a brief background check and an orientation. So, yeah, so we still are, we're down from our pandemic highs of meal delivery, but we're still, all of our routes are busy in town, and yeah, so,
I have a question.
yes.
You said $5 for a donation for a meal site is a suggested donation. What about for home delivered meals?
425.
$4.25. So, okay, $4.25.
It's just a little bit more for the restaurant, but it's not,
Okay.
yeah, restaurant sites.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
And we haven't raised it. I mean, it's been like that since I've started. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it just helps cover some of the expenses of the program.
Okay.
Any other questions at all?
Just a little housekeeping, Luke, could we go back and approve the minutes from the June or the January 23rd meeting for the nutrition committee?
Yep, I
Yeah.
did see, I missed that,
Yes.
sorry.
No, that's okay.
Can I get a motion to approve the January 23rd, 2023 Nutrition Committee meeting?
I so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say sign. Motion passes. And then was there public comments for the nutrition?
Was there any public comment online?
No, I didn't receive any.
Okay, any public comment related to nutrition in the room?
All right, so then that's the end of the nutrition meeting? Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Just gonna ask, would you mind letting Suzanne take your place here at the table? Just 'cause she's part of my note taker, but.
Yeah, she's certainly gonna have my place.
Okay.
I got the seat warmed up there. Thanks, Gary. Yeah, you bet. Yeah. Give me one of these if you want. Yeah. Yes. Another chair too.
All right, do we want to do a roll call for?
Okay, so roll call. Do you guys just want me to say your names again? Okay, so we've got here with us today, we have Leanne Bartz, Heather Jerry, Charlotte. Charlotte, I'm forgetting your last name for a second. Lee, that shouldn't be that hard to remember. Hold on, I got my little roll call sheet. Somewhere here. We've got Suzanne Gaines, Luke Wilsey is running the meeting, Chris Olson, Maria Bukowski, Carol Kadinger, and Margie Hageman and Sherry Homestead. Did I miss anybody? No, I did. I gotcha. Okay. And do we have anyone online right now for ADRC? I don't believe so.
No, we don't.
Okay, and Betty has signed off from the nutrition?
She has.
Okay, and then I just wanted to remind everyone, if you do have a comment, make sure you just turn on your little button that has that little person, so that can be heard and recorded online.
All right, can I get a motion to approve the March 2023 Advisory Committee meeting? In a second. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Any public comments?
Anything?
I didn't
Sorry.
receive anything online, no.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 5, upcoming meeting date and time, July 17th, 2023, and Larry said I'm supposed to say the weather will be nice. So. And then we'll go with staff report.
Okay, we had already had the nutrition report with his, with Bernie's report, so I'll just move on. I just have a couple pieces of housekeeping first. Denise asked me to ask folks, if you guys would prefer for the agendas to be emailed, sent via mail, or both. What works best for people? Okay, I'm gonna just make notes here. Leanne is sent, okay. Heather, email. Charlotte, email. Email. Margie, email's fine, okay.
Send.
Carol,
Email's fine.
okay, Maria, email. Luke, what do you prefer? Okay. Suzanne?
Email, especially if there's a backup copy here.
And they're, just so you know, I always bring backup copies. So, yep. Chris, how about you? Email. Okay. All right. I will get that updated information to Denise. The other thing I am wondering, we realized there were an error on some of the sheets that are provided to you guys. The $50 per diem is correct for everyone, but for some people, the mileage should actually be your round trip mileage from your home here and then back. And it seemed like some of the mileage only had one way. So would you please review that? And if that is incorrect for you, just make a line, like if your mileage says 8 and it should be 16, then just make a dash through it and write the correct mileage. And then Denise will correct those for future meetings. Actually, Chris, I'll give that. You're good. Okay. So that was just some housekeeping with Denise. She would appreciate that, and I'll get her that information. An update on the ILSP program, that independent living program that we talked about, that we had gotten we're one of the 13 projects across the state that received that. I just wanted to let you know, I am working towards hiring 2 positions. We actually have interviews on Wednesday. So myself and the ADRC managers from the Chippewa and Eau Claire County will be hiring together. We'll be holding those interviews here with a member of our HR department. And we will be hiring two full-time equivalents. So we could have, if some folks wanted to work part-time, we could have 2 part-time people that filled one position, but it looked like from the people that applied, they were hoping for full-time positions. So I'm excited. The program is going, again, like I said, it technically starts July 11th is when we can start enrolling people. In June, the state will be issuing a kind of public information about the program, and that's when we can also start publicly sharing and marketing the program. So I'm excited. It's not too far away, a couple of months, and it'll be rolling. And we've had a few people who've contacted us already. I've heard through the grapevine, I think from some folks at this table, as a matter of fact, just to get some basic information and let us know that they're interested. So, we've started a list amongst the 3 counties of just people that we need to contact that had interest in that program. So very exciting stuff. And I'll just keep you updated on all of that. I wanted to also let you know that we had a really nice event last Thursday. We held it at 29 Pines. It was actually through the Caregiver Coalition, which we partner with. And the Caregiver Coalition is actually a group from Dunn, Chippewa, and Eau Claire County. We provided training for folks who are caregivers in the community. Some of it was really hands-on. We had booths where time in the morning where there were booths set up with like physical therapists, occupational therapists, I think speech therapists, and people could go from booth to booth and learn really practical caregiving skills if they're providing physical care, like how to brush someone's teeth, how to transfer them, how to, help safely get them to the bathroom, those sorts of really practical skills. And then in the afternoon, we had kind of a group educational session We had informational booths that people could visit during the day, and we provided a lunch. And that was all paid for by the folks, the vendors that had booths and stuff like that. And I think we had 47 attendees. So that was a really, really good turnout. All three counties, Chippewa, Eau Claire, and Dunn, we still have not recovered really in terms of in-person events after COVID. Folks are still nervous. So that was actually some advice that I was looking for from this group. And again, if you don't have answers right now, but if you think of things later, I would sure love any input or ideas on how we might be able to encourage people to attend in-person events again.
I think one of the things that needs to be there needs to be, if someone is a caregiver, they're caring for somebody during the day, they can't really leave for the whole day. And so I think that we need to make sure, I know that the senior center was saying they'd be available and have the dad's program available that day. But people coming from Eau Claire or Chippewa aren't going to necessarily come here, drop their person off and then go. And I think there needs to be thought through as to what kind of caregiving services can be available that day, maybe on site at the same place or someplace nearby, so that family members feel comfortable. And if there's an emergency with the person they're caring for, they can easily leave the meeting and go and attend to whatever the issue is. I just think that's something that needs to be thought through.
Okay.
I know some of the people in the support group that they didn't want to go because they didn't know what to do with their family member and didn't feel
Okay.
comfortable leaving them.
Good feedback. What about just not necessarily caregiver events, but any events in general? We have like our memory cafe, which actually is for the caregiver and the individual who is having memory loss to come together. Leanne, you can probably speak to that because you volunteer to that, and our attendance is very low. And prior to COVID, it was a very active group. And then we're trying to have fun events that would be for any person, adult with a disability or senior. We've tried to have exercise programs. We've tried to do different things, and we've had to cancel most of them because we just don't have people who are signing up. So I guess my question is there anything we can do to really encourage people to attend? Because we want to be able to provide these services. And just like Bernie said, the benefits of people coming to meal sites is that there's that socialization, and that's part of what we want to do. And we also want people to be able to get resources that they need. And is there anything that I can do differently in terms of marketing? We advertise in like the Senior Review, the Senior Newspaper. I put ads in the Colfax Messenger and the Menominee paper. We do Facebook advertising, both on the ADRC Facebook and Dunn County. Is there anything I'm missing? Heather.
I have one suggestion. How long has it been since we surveyed people as to what they would like? Is it maybe there's a different interest that people maybe want to get together and play cards or something like that. Maybe do a survey to find out.
That's not a bad idea at all. It's been I have not done a survey since I've been here. So I've been here a year and a half. So that makes good sense.
Well, I'm thinking, to not double up like on exercise, we do it at the senior center.
Right.
We have one for people who are not as active, and then those who are very active. But ours end on the 25th of May and don't start until September.
Okay. So
that would be a window to get those people.
That's a great idea, Sherry, to try to do maybe a summer program.
Right.
And again, we do try to be very conscious. We don't want to compete with the programs that are already provided in the community. Many ADRCs don't have a senior center that's has quite as active of a calendar. And some ADRCs really, the senior center and the ADRC are kind of a joint effort. So they do things together. We are separate entities, but the ADRC is not wanting to compete or take business away from the senior center. We just want to provide other options and, other things. But that's really helpful to know that your exercise program is kind of on hiatus over the summer. So maybe we can get some folks interested in doing some things with us now. Okay.
If I could ask
Yeah.
Sherry, so when that program ends, is the space available for this group to give a slightly different program? So it'd be different, but it'd be a familiar parking and sanitation, isn't it? Or not?
That's a good question. Quite likely the space would be available, but you'd have to coordinate it probably with the recreation department that's in the building, because they might have a summer thing, like they do have, I don't know, some kind of rifle training or something during the summer. So, but that's only a couple weeks. So I think that something like that is possible.
In general, the senior center is an amazing partner for ADRC, and our schedules are more flexible in terms of being able to work around. If they already have established groups, we can kind of fit our schedule around theirs. So that's a really good tip, Sherry. Any other, yes.
With the weather being better, perhaps you could have something outside.
Yep.
And my son gets very impatient with me, but I can't eat and go inside. I'm immune compromised. And so he takes me outside when the weather's nice for lunch or breakfast. And I'm wondering if you could do something like that for those of us who can't take our mask off inside to eat.
Sure.
And, with the weather being nice, and some of these people need to be outside more.
I know at the end of last summer, we tried to do a walking program that was outside, and we didn't get enough participants.
I'm
but-
talking about like like eating and,
okay. More
just
socialization.
a social thing outside.
Okay.
Instead of inside with this weather so nice,
Right. Well,
even outside at the senior center.
right. Summertime is the time to do anything outside for us, right? So that's a great idea too. I think, so what I'm hearing is, I think a survey would be a really good idea, just to get folks input on things that they're looking for. An exercise program while the senior center's exercise programs are off. If we have caregiver events, more thought needs to be put into providing the respite for the people who are providing care for the person who needs the care. And then maybe some outdoor events while the weather is still nice, and that might attract more people.
Do you think Yep. Do you think transportation might be a question do you think that might be a barrier for some people?
I think it absolutely could be. So being able to maybe provide transportation for especially those who don't, many of our events are held in Menominee, so folks who are in other parts of the county to get here.
Right.
Okay. That's yeah. Yes. About if there's difficulty in getting to the events. I do know that Casey, our caregiver coordinator, is planning on trying to do what she's calling a traveling memory cafe, at least for the summer, to try, where she's going to be taking the memory cafe and she'll pick people up for it and bring them to like Colfax or Ridgeland, pick people up but then also have them at a different site so that people in those communities have an easier time accessing those things. But, part of what the ADRC does is not just provide information and assistance and get people hooked up with services, but we also want to provide these social events and activities. And a big part of one piece that we try to do is, I don't know if you've heard of like the Strong Bones program, but there's evidence-based exercise programs that are a part of services that a lot of ADRCs provide in terms of strength building and all those sorts of things for seniors. And we really want to build on those programs and try to reinvigorate that. It's just been a struggle. But the good thing definitely is that the event we had this last Thursday was very, in our minds, very well attended, especially for a first event like that. So the group felt very positive about how many people came and the participation. And I had heard from a number of other folks, the gal who runs the Parkinson's support group in Eau Claire was present, and she said that just in the past maybe 1 to 2 months, they've started to have people come back in person. So I'm hoping maybe we're starting to turn a corner and we'll start to see some higher numbers.
I'm seeing I have a couple of suggestions. One is I'm wondering if you need to send out a little PR on to churches in the area and to have just getting out in their monthly newsletters, some information about maybe, you know, the what the Memory Cafe is or the services, some of the services that are out there. And the other is I'm hoping that someone, I mentioned this before about Chippewa Valley Learning and Retirement. And right now they're at the process of actually getting the classes ready for the fall. So if somebody is going to do a program, they need to get in touch with somebody immediately.
And we actually are on the schedule already
Good,
for
good.
for a few different programs with CVOL. It's a really great, or CVLR, yes.
Yeah.
That's a great resource. And Carla, our dementia care specialist, did a very well attended presentation that seemed to be very well received at the Rossbach Museum last month, wasn't it, Margie? I think. Yeah. So she'll be back, and then we're also in talks of having another like ADRC related presentation with them.
Because I think
too.
it's just a matter of getting the word out sometimes. And if it's all within the aging programs, there's a lot of people that aren't in touch with the aging programs, and we need to get outside that. And even to some of the rural churches that might be out there that might be receptive to. Anyway, that's it.
And just a side note to that is we're actually looking into some options of providing general ADRC office hours at sites, not just here at the ADRC. And some of the church offices are actually some of the partners that we're thinking about approaching, because a lot of folks are very comfortable going to their churches and talking about doing some meal site hours, that sort of thing, just to get more out in the community, especially for those folks that it's a struggle to get into Menominee. So we're working on that too.
And I think Bernie going to the churches for volunteers, drivers, I think that needs to be, we need to do that, because I think there's people willing to, but they just they don't know quite how to do it. And, you know, that's another area.
Okay. Yeah. And most churches, like you said, have like a monthly or like a weekly bulletin or a monthly newsletter or something like that. So maybe we can just request to have a little blurb every once in a while in some of those. One person I wanted to introduce to you, I should have done this at the beginning. We have a guest today. This is Emily Gilbertson, who's in the back of the room. Emily actually works, she is what is called our regional quality specialist. Every ADRC has this wonderful resource provided by the state. You are a state employee, right? Yes. So our state organization that heads ADRCs provides a regional quality specialist for every ADRC. Their technical assistance, and Emily has been just invaluable to me as a relatively new ADRC manager. I come from the nursing home world, and if any of you have ever worked in nursing homes before, when the state walks in the building, everybody panics and is afraid because you're there being evaluated. But the RQS position is very different. Emily is somebody that I can reach out and say, hey, I'm not exactly sure how to do this. My staff reach out to her directly if they have questions about, for example, a very common question Emily gets from us is venue. There's a lot of complicated situations where we're not sure if we're the right ADRC someone should be working with, or if it's another, and she helps us weed through all of that. And then just anything about how ADRCs are supposed to run, or things we should or shouldn't be doing. Emily is my go-to person. So she had asked to meet with, she had comes and meets with me in person every so once in a while, and she asked if there were any meetings that I had, and I'm like, oh, I have my ADRC meeting, and I'd love to have you come and give feedback, because she sees a lot of these types of meetings. So that's Emily, and that's why she's here today, just as a guest. But so, and just another little piece of information about a piece of how the ADRC runs. We have these wonderful supports provided by the state that provide us a lot of resources and assistance, and that's not the way every state program runs. So I really, really appreciate that that's how ADRCs are set up, to give us that technical assistance like that. So I believe that is everything. We don't have any actions today to take. Luke, does anyone have any questions for me today?
If we think of other things that might be useful on your survey,
Yes.
what's the best way to make suggestions to you?
Email me or call, either way, whatever works best for you. I'd love to have, I'll start working on developing a survey, but input from you guys is invaluable to me. So I'd really appreciate it. And again, I kind of threw that question at you today. So anything you think of afterwards, I'd really appreciate.
Thank you. I'll toss one suggestion to you right now,
Okay.
if I may.
Yes.
Because it came up today. Does the respondent ideally want a meeting or an event inside or outside?
Yep, that's a great question. And again, we may find that folks are still, there still might be a decent amount of folks that are more comfortable still outside. So people's comfort levels are still evolving, that's for sure. So, and we can do both ways. You know, we can have some outside events and some inside, and
Or at the same time.
right, we could try to do that too. Yep. Anything else for me?
All right, thank you, Tracy, and thank you for everyone showing up, and meeting adjourned.